Idris, great to have you on the show. As Mashoud just said, our markets are looking very quiet. Now, some analysts feel that investor sentiment is waning, but talking to you earlier, you just said you thought the market was stable. Now, what exactly is your take on how investors are playing the market now and investor sentiment in general?
What we've actually witnessed in the market, so we've actually seen cautious buying interest in the market, especially in the banking sector. We've seen quite a lot of interest in top-tier banks like the GT banks, the First Bank, and Zenith Bank, and this has also, the momentum has been sustained over a period of time. We've actually seen some profit taken in the past, but the cautious buying and the buying sentiment still outweighs the selling sentiment, and this could also be attributed to the expected results, which the market is actually expecting from banks like GT Bank and Access Bank, expecting them to post good, strong H2 numbers. And I believe by the time these banks release these numbers and they come out positive, they should be able to sustain the momentum in the market, and we should see the market continue on this pace.
And back to investor trends, Idris. I mean, it seems like investors right now are more interested in the larger cap stocks, despite the fact that we've seen some good results coming out of the smaller cap stocks. What's your take on this?
Yeah, we're actually seeing more interest in the high cap stocks. For instance, the First Bank and the GT Bank. We saw GT Bank close at 1780 and First Bank close at 1230 yesterday. As well as in the brewery sector, we've seen interest in Nigerian breweries and Guinness as well. It shows that investors are actually positioning themselves, and they see value in these stocks, and with that, they're just trying to pick up the stocks at these levels to position themselves ahead of the full year.
Well, Idris, any idea why we're seeing investors sort of pushing for those brewery stocks? But besides the banking stocks, we're seeing the brewery stocks is another hot place investors are sort of moving towards. In fact, we saw Nigerian breweries, international breweries, major gains in those two stocks yesterday. What's your take on what investors see in those brewery stocks?
Looking at international breweries, we saw a good Q2 result from them, and on the back of that, I guess investors are really happy with them, and they're actually positioning themselves. And Nigerian breweries, the story of Nigerian breweries cannot be overemphasized, and investors feel Nigerian breweries is a safe haven in the brewery sector, and we've seen consistent interest and buying sentiments in Nigerian breweries, and we don't expect this to relax anytime soon.
Well, Idris, we also saw bearish sentiments though in the banking sector sort of end yesterday. The banking sector was actually quite bullish yesterday. Now, you say it's on the back of anticipation of GT Bank and Access Bank results. What really is your expectation when it comes to those results? You think they're going to certainly satisfy investors? And also, I'd like to know when can we expect to see these results come out?
Looking at the trend from Access and GT Bank, from the past, we've always seen them pay interim dividends and half-year interim dividend. We don't expect them to deviate from this trending which they've always been doing, and with this, the market is actually expecting them to pay something good. For full year, investors are expecting them to make good returns on their assets, considering the fact that the fixed income market is really doing attractively well, and we expect lesser or no loan provisions from them. So on the back of this, we just expect we've actually seen investors positioning themselves and expecting good results from them at the end of the day.
What do you think is the reason that we saw stocks like UBA, which is of course a larger tier bank, one that investors tend to like? We saw that stock down yesterday. We also saw ETI losing some points. What's your take on how investors were playing those stocks? Selling pressure, possibly?
For me, UBA and ETI, you've actually seen them to be quite volatile. You see a bull run in them, some profit taking, bull run in them, profit taking. I think that's just a trend. But investors are still happy with those two banks, and they're still buying into it, though at cautious levels.
Well, let's focus on insurance stocks. I mean, we saw some results coming out yesterday. We've discussed that particular sector quite a lot with other analysts, and they seem to all feel that sector is not performing so well. Investors, in fact, don't seem to want they have no hunger whatsoever for those stocks. Now, we saw Law Union and Rock release their results yesterday. Revenue down from 1.8 million to 1.7 million. In fact, those numbers did not look good at all. First and foremost, what is your take on those Law Union and Rock results?
Looking at Law Union and Rock, we saw a decline in the PAT by 122%. Looking at the top line, the gross premium, there was also a decline of about 12% from the government. We can attribute this to stiff competition. Looking at the insurance sector as a whole, there are a lot of players in the market, and there's a lot of competition going there to get business. And this has actually shown that Law Union, this can be attributed to the decline we saw in the gross premium of Law Union. Looking at the investment income they made as well, there was a decline in their investment income. And we saw that they paid their gross claim actually increased for the quarter. All this actually, looking at all this can be attributed to the decline we saw in their PAT. Well, look, going forward into Law Union, there's been a change in ownership of Law Union, and we expect that there will be some internal restructuring to also pull the business into profitability going forward.
But what's your take, Idris, on insurance stocks in general? I mean, that sector, we've seen some reforms coming in from the regulator recently. We heard that at least 3 of them were actually suspended, and reforms are expected in that sector. Do you think that will push investor sentiment for those stocks in a different direction, maybe better?
Yeah, the reforms from the regulators in the insurance sector will really go a long way in helping the sector, at least reducing the number of players in that sector, because as we see, we only know some major players in the sector like the GT Shell, the Continental and the Custodian. So a consolidation of that sector and recapitalization of the sector will go a long way in helping reviving that sector, and at the end of the day helping the market as a whole.
Well, Idris, what are your stock picks? I mean, right now, everybody seems to be heading towards the breweries, the banking sector. But for you, what are some of the other stocks that we can look at besides always the banking sector and, of course, the brewery sector?
The banking sector still remains the most active sector in the market, and we still see a lot of interest in it. So our top picks in the banking sector will look at the top tier banks, the First Bank, the GT Bank, and Zenith Bank. We also like the Access Bank. The cement sector is also a good sector to invest in. Looking at WAPCO and Dangote Cement, and we're quite bullish on those.
What about the consumer goods stocks? I mean, we did see some of them posting some major gains yesterday.
Yeah, looking at UACN, there's a lot of restructuring going on in UACN, and we expect this to further boost the earnings of the business. So we're happy with UACN and Flour Mills as well. Well,
Idris, let's focus on your outlook for the market as we go forward. Certainly, there's been some new news when it comes to regulation. We're hearing the market makers are saying that they may not come on just yet, of course, on the back of them asking the NSE for some concessions. How do you think this may affect sentiment going forward?
Well, looking at the market as a whole, yesterday the market has gained 11.74%, which is quite impressive. The market-making initiative is an initiative by the exchange to further encourage liquidity and boost the market as a whole. Though there are some issues there, but I believe the regulators will find a way around it, and the initiative will come on board pretty soon, and this will go a long way in helping the market and position the market ahead in a positive light.
And another issue that has come up is, of course, what's going on over in our money markets, where we saw interbank rates sort of hitting the roof. There's been a lot of discussion about how this could possibly affect our banking sector going forward. Do you think investors are cluing in at all to what's going on, or do you think they're not worried about what's going on in that area?
I don't think there's so much panic yet, but I believe everything will come to order in the near future, and everything should be sorted soon.
Well then, Idris, going forward, what then do you think are going to be the major drivers of our markets going forward? What do you think are going to be some of the macroeconomic issues that are going to impact the way we see our market performing?
Good government policies will definitely affect the market on a positive light, and we expect this to further boost the market as a whole, with the regulators putting in place good measures to foster the market, and the corporate governance of each company listed on the exchange being enforced, and ensure that all companies listed on the exchange have good corporate governance, and at the end of the day making good profitability and earnings, thereby giving good returns to the investors will go a long way in helping the market. All this, I believe, will help pull the market in a positive note at the end of the year.
Now, Idris, we also have our budget 2013, which has been presented. Well, not been presented, but we finally have seen those numbers. People generally seem to be happy with those numbers. It looks like the government is looking to reduce a deficit next year. What's your take on the budget, and of course how it's going to impact the way investors are watching in Nigeria? Of course, you know that our market is 81% of foreign investors, and they're watching some of the reforms by the government. So how do you think that will impact our market and the way the budget 2013 has been structured?
I believe reducing the deficit of the budget of the economy will go a long way. It's a positive one for us, at least reducing our deficit, and this will definitely bring confidence to foreign investment and encourage and improve foreign investment inflow into the market. And as a whole, with that, this will go a long way in helping the market as well.
Okay, Idris, now give me your general outlook for the market. Aside all these other issues, what's your general outlook for the market? Do you think that we're going to see it pick up next week on hopes of results coming out from GT and Access?
Well, we've actually seen a strong movement in GT Bank and Access as a whole in the market, and I believe if the two organizations are able to support the sentiment of investors with good results, raising good results and paying good dividend, this will go a long way in helping and sustaining the bull trend we've seen in the previous weeks in the market.